Let's get one thing clear from the get-go. Putin feels like he's winning. He feels like he owns Trump and he owns this war. He's standing his ground. He has a certain result in mind, and he's been very unambiguous about it since the beginning of the war, and he's not stopping until he gets there. So far, he's already conquered the Ukrainian province of Luhansk completely and partially 3 other provinces. He also wants a neutral Ukraine. Neutral meaning under Russian control, out of NATO, and devoid of Western military help. So, if he were to stop now, he'd be given what he already conquered plus neutrality. Of course he's not stopping. He's got zero incentive for peace. But before we continue, I just want to tell you to subscribe if you enjoy these videos where we discuss the crazy side of politics, society, and the human brain. Oh wait, that's all of it. It's all crazy. Never mind, carry on. So, here's what's so difficult to understand about people like Putin. They're not like us. We don't share the same ideologies. They don't cry when babies are blown to pieces, and they don't crack under the same pressure that people like you and I would. That's why they're dictators of some of the biggest countries in the world. And we're here barely leading our own lives, because we cannot stoop that low. We cannot be that evil. But they can. And it leaves us speechless, trying to make sense of someone who transcended basic human psychology. Putin is not stopping because he sees no reason to stop. No significant action has been taken against Russia so far, not something that Putin would consider worthy anyway. Needless to say, people's suffering is irrelevant to him. Ukrainians are suffering, and so are Russians. Putin is responsible for the death or injury of almost 1 million of his own soldiers by some estimates. According to Bloomberg, inflation has reached 10.23%, forcing Russia's central bank to hold its key interest rate at 21%, maintaining borrowing costs at a historic high, despite mounting concerns from businesses and banks that the economy is slowing. Military spending has been at about 35% of total government spending since the beginning of the war and is projected to rise to 37%. These are all massive sacrifices that Putin has made for his cause. It would be crazy if he gave up now. He's invested too much time, money, and effort into this project to give up when he's halfway there, especially since he thinks he's winning. Granted, he's winning the hard way, and it takes so much longer than he anticipated, but at least he's not losing. Human casualties are not a loss to him and to Russian oligarchs. They're irrelevant. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter how many people die and how many live in poverty. To Putin, they're a necessary consequence of getting what he wants. Human casualties are not a loss to him and the Russian oligarchs. People like Putin look at other people like most meat eaters look at cattle. Cows' purpose in life is to die for the pleasure of people's taste buds. In a similar sentiment, soldiers' purpose in life is to die in order to make Russia great again. The economic measures taken so far against Russia haven't seriously injured the Russian economy, at least not enough to make it count for Putin and his buddies. And if no serious measures are taken, American antics and European pearl-clutching are irrelevant to him. Quite the contrary, Trump's tantrums are seen as a sign of weakness, and Putin can use them to show the world that he's more powerful than Trump, which so far has been working great for Putin. No matter what Trump has done so far, whether cozying up to him like a tail-wagging lapdog or begging him to stop, Vladimir, stop, on his social media, or calling him crazy, Putin just didn't budge. Why would he? He's winning. Having quite possibly played a role in getting Trump elected and then re-elected, Putin is playing Trump like a big orange violin. The resulting tune is as dissonant as one might expect it to be, but it is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Whatever the reason may be, Putin owns Trump. He has allowed his boy Donnie to say a few harsh things to his domestic audience, but Putin will not allow Trump to take any actual actions. Who knows what Putin has over Trump that has made the latter his lackey? If anything, in my humble opinion, he doesn't even need to have anything of value, like the ideas purported beforehand that Trump is Russian agent Krasnov, or that the Kremlin saved Trump from debt and now he owes Putin something. Those don't need to be true. They might be, but not necessarily. What Putin has over Trump that's obvious and undeniable is his personality, his authoritarian nature, his power. There doesn't even need to be more. Trump wants to be like his totalitarian hero, and his deep admiration for Putin shows in his actions as well as his words. Sure, he might get angry sometimes with his lack of progress in becoming Putin, but all he does is pout, beg, and scream. His all words, no action. And the world can see. Trump could prove to the world and to himself that he is at Putin's level if he were able to end the war, as he bragged, but he's not. Putin is showing him time and time again that he's a small dog barking into the void. The big, tough dogs don't care. In conclusion, Putin won't stop the war because he has no real incentive to stop it. Europe and the US promise severe punitive measures against Russia. Sure, those would work if they were severe enough for the oligarchs to feel them, not just regular Russians. It seems nobody cares about regular Russians anyway. But will Trump do that, or will he melt the moment Putin offers any sign of love? So far, despite all the losses, Putin is indeed winning. And he doesn't even have to believe it every minute of every day. All he has to do is wait and not give up. He knows Russian resources are far larger than Ukrainian, and at some point, the limitless aid pouring into Ukraine will slow down. That will be enough to let Putin grab the parts of Ukraine he wants and reduce the rest to impotence. That's the only piece Putin is interested in. Trump's so-called deal over Ukrainian minerals shows how Putin can separate some of Ukrainians' allies and play them off one at a time. Putin sees his aims as entirely obtainable. It's only a matter of time and raising enough cash from Russian oil and gas. Trump supporters' enthusiasm for authoritarian figures and the world's continued reliance on fossil fuels puts Trump, Putin, and their fellow travelers like Farage and Orban on the same side. Putin's gas and oil-rich Russia won't be destroyed by Trump's US, or any country dependent on fossil fuels. It won't be diminished by being self-sufficient in energy that can be shipped to the highest bidder. Every politician doubting that renewables are not viable only reinforces Putin's position. And what is Putin's full position? Putin wants nothing less than the whole of Ukraine, probably the reabsorption of the Baltic states too, and to force what might be termed a kind of neutrality on Finland, Sweden, Poland, Moldova, and Romania. Hungary and Slovakia are already in the bag. Now, these are meaningful, long-term, mature plans from a serious autocrat. Compare that with whiny-ass titty-baby Trump, whose only purpose in life is to try and prove he's the bestest, coolest, cutest, hottest, awesomest president in the history of the world. No plan in sight, no competent people to count on, and a serious case of dementia. Who do you think is going to win? Evil Vladdy or Vladdy's orange choir boy? Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. Place your bets. And also place your likes and follows to Age of Chaos. Thank you for being here. I'll see you next time. Bye.